What do Standstore, Duolingo, and Perplexity all have in common? It's not the product, it's not the funding. It's that all three understood three concepts that thousands of startups dying around them never figured out. I learned these concepts the expensive way. Built a VC-backed startup called Shop Galaxy, raised money from top-tier investors in the Valley, and still watched it burn to the ground because a competitor copied us, outraised us, and then beat us at every single concept in this video. So this isn't theory. This is actually the autopsy. If you're building right now, these three ideas are the difference between compounding growth and playing on hard mode until the money runs out. Let's start with the one that hurt us first. Distribution is the product. Most founders spend all of their time obsessing over product, features, UX, roadmap. And look, let me be clear, you can't win without an amazing product, but an amazing product is not enough. Nobody wakes up in the morning caring about your product. They care about whether you can solve something in their life, and they can't care about that if they actually never find out about you in the first place. I know because I was that founder. At Shop Galaxy, we were building features. Sprint after sprint, we were shipping, we had an insanely cracked team, and it wasn't wasted work. Users who had tried both us and our competitor reliably told us the same thing. They liked our experience better. Meanwhile, our competitor was doubling and tripling down on distribution, meta ads, creators, every growth channel they could get their hands on. And look, we grew well. We had a real community, we had a real audience, but our spend and our time on distribution was an order of magnitude less than theirs. We were playing a features game. They were playing a reach game. Here's the lesson that cost me a company. It's not the best product that necessarily wins. It's the last product standing. And the last standing is a function of distribution and fundraising, especially in a winner-take-all market. Better product, smaller megaphone, we lost. Here's where it gets interesting. This is more true right now than it's ever been. Call it the AI flip. It's never been easier to build software, which means it has never been easier to copy software. If your product is digital bits, someone can clone it very quickly. The bits are not the mode anymore. That's why the smartest startups are going timeline native. Distribution first, product built in public. Take Cluely. Before they had a finished product, before they even had a full engineering team, they were flooding the internet with their story. The chaos, the controversy, the journey, the haters, all documented in real time. By the time they were ready to launch, the audience was already waiting. That's what took them from a barely working product to a $15 million Series A from A16Z. And honestly, I don't know if the current iteration of their product ends up being the winner, but they have the winning strategy. And I expect them to get to some good outcomes here because they own and understand their distribution. But look at Duolingo. The unhinged owl on TikTok is not a marketing side project. It's a distribution engine bolted directly into the product. Millions of people who never even search for a language learning app now think about Duolingo daily. That's crazy. So why does this work? Well, I think there are two reasons. First, it attracts your early customers before you launch because people can actually see how much you care about solving their problem. And two, it builds trust. When you're honest about the struggle, people stop seeing you as a company and start seeing you as someone worth rooting for. So the question isn't how do we make the product better? It's how do we make it better and get it in front of more people at the same time? Those aren't two phases. They happen simultaneously. The moment you treat distribution as something you'll figure out later is the moment you hand your competitor a head start. I know exactly what that head start costs, but here's the trap. More distribution does not automatically mean more growth. That mistake leads straight into the second concept, the right hands, not more hands. Most founders believe the breakout companies had thousands of people lining up on day one, so they pour everything into reaching as many people as possible, as fast as possible. When the flood doesn't come, they panic and assume something's actually wrong with the product. That's not how any of these companies actually started. The truth is, you don't need thousands of people to love your product right away. You need a handful of the right ones. And I mean that literally, because the right people don't just buy. They talk about it, they bring others in, they become the engine that starts the whole thing moving. And once that engine starts, keeping it going is a lot easier than starting it was. It's overused at this point, but this is what make something people want actually means. Make one user insanely happy, then 10, then 100, then 1,000. Do it in that order. Back in the day, finding those people was genuinely hard. Door to door, flyers, ads and hope. Every method forced you to cast the widest possible net just to find the few people who cared. And there was still no guarantee they were the right ones. The game has obviously completely changed because there are people who already spent years earning the daily attention and trust of the exact audience you're trying to reach, creators. Think about what a creator actually is. It's a pre-assembled room full of your ideal customers with someone they trust standing at the front of it. You're not buying attention when you work with creators, you're buying trust. You're borrowing credibility at scale. One creator whose audience genuinely matches your ideal customer is worth more than 1,000 cold impressions from people who were never going to buy in the first place. Stan Store is the proof. They grew into a $50 million business without a traditional sales motion because creators were both the customer and the distribution. Every creator who used it showed it to an audience full of more creators. Now imagine 50 creators doing that for your product. That's a much shorter path than praying for thousands of strangers to line up on launch day. So the mindset shift is this: stop asking how to reach everyone and start asking who already has the attention of the people you want. The businesses that figure this out early don't just grow faster, they grow smarter. But finding the right hands isn't a one-time trick. It's one experiment inside a bigger system that almost no founder builds. And that's the third concept. And it's the one that actually killed Shop Galaxy, the growth roadmap. Every founder I've ever met has a product roadmap. Prioritized, it's sprint planned, it's 6 months deep. Now, ask that same founder for their growth roadmap, and usually you get a shrug. We'll post more, maybe we'll run some ads. The thing that decides whether anyone ever sees the product gets improvised. The growth roadmap means treating growth exactly the way you treat product. Run experiments, test channels, find winners, scale them up, test, find winners, double down, and repeat. That's what you're looking to do. But here's the part that makes or breaks the whole system: how you read the experiments. Most founders treat every result like a verdict. Oh, it worked or it didn't work. Keep it or kill it. Verdicts throw away the most valuable information your business will ever generate, because experiments don't produce verdicts. They produce signals. Say you test a piece of content and the first 30 seconds explode. People are locked in, and then it falls off a cliff. The verdict says this video failed. The signal says your hook was incredible, people wanted what you promised, and then somewhere in the delivery you kind of lost them. Now you know exactly what the next experiment is. The opposite is also just as true. Channel works for months, then starts to slowly fade. It's inevitable. The verdict says start over. The signal says it's broken. It's old. There's a difference between something that's broken and something that's kind of run its course with this audience. And knowing the difference saves you from killing things that still have value. At Shop Galaxy, our product roadmap was 6 months deep, and our growth roadmap did not exist. Our competitor ran growth like a product team. Experiments every week, killer scale decisions on a schedule. They weren't smarter than us, but they were learning faster. We graded ourselves, they studied themselves. Over 2 years, that gap became extremely wide. It's the same reason Perplexity ships the way that it does. Put it in front of people, watch what they actually do, read the signal, and then rebuild around it. Repeat. That's a real competitive advantage nobody talks about. Rate of compounded learning. Not the product, not the budget, not the team. Compounding knowledge is the thing that matters. Every experiment makes the next decision smarter, and every smart decision makes the next experiment more valuable. Over time, this loop is what separates the businesses that plateau from the ones that keep growing. So that's the autopsy. Distribution is the product. The right hands, not more hands. The growth roadmap, you take as seriously as your product roadmap. I paid a Series A worth of tuition to learn those 3 sentences. You just got them in one video. If that's worth something to you, please subscribe. No fluff, no theory, just what actually matters right now if you're in the trenches building. And if you want the full system behind concept 2, I put together a complete guide to creator marketing in 2026. How to find the right creators, how to scale what works, and how to build a channel that compounds over time. Hit the link in bio to check it out, and I'll see you in the next one.